Holy crap, I don't know who the hell we think we are when we do something like that.
What's up, fight fans? You're watching The Combat Connection live on the Cageside Press social media platforms. I'm Brett Cagle, and that's Eddie Law. We have a loaded show for you today. Let's get right into it, Eddie. UFC 317 last weekend was one for the ages. Ilia Topuria knocks out Charles Oliveira in the first round with a devastating combination, follows it up with ground and pound to become the 9th ever two-division champion in UFC history and the first one to do it while undefeated. Eddie, what did you think of Ilia's performance? And honestly, in my opinion, I think he becomes the new face of MMA with this knockout finish over the weekend.
He's on his way. The very next day, he's on podcasts here and there talking about if Islam wins the 170 title, maybe they'll let move up to take that one too. Like, he sounds like Spaniard/Georgian Connor already. The dude's following the blueprint to a T. Please, Ilia, do not pick up a drug habit. Do not be hanging out with hookers. Please don't punch old men in bars. All right, what the fuck? Don't cheat on your wife. All right, don't treat your kids like shit. Please don't do any of that garbage, okay? Use your head, dude. Please do not follow the exact blueprint, all right? But hell of a knockout. I think all of us kind of shed a tear a little bit, though, for Charlie Olives. I was a little sad.
Yeah, Oliveira was a tough sight, but we were talking a little bit if the power translated up the weight class. It certainly did. There was no question about that.
Dude, I argue he's stronger.
He looked so good on fight night. And it's not really like Charles was that much bigger than him either. Even in the grappling, Eddie, which we'll break down the fight here momentarily, but when it got into the grappling exchanges, we haven't seen somebody other than Makhachev slice through Oliveira like that, immediately got past his guard, went all the way to the crucifix position before Charles scrambled to his feet. What'd you make of the grappling of Ilia Topuria? And to me, Eddie, the most impressive thing is Ilia Topuria goes in there and beats you at what you do best. When he's in there with Josh Emmett, he's the best brawler in that division. He goes in there and gets in a 5-round brawl with Josh Emmett. When he's in there with Bryce Mitchell, a great jiu-jitsu black belt under Eddie Bravo, he submits Bryce Mitchell and proves a point. He goes in there against Volk and Max Holloway, takes their heads off, and then Charles this weekend shows him he's better on the ground, gets to the feet. There's nowhere for him to go, again with the knockout. This guy's got devastating power, Eddie. Do you think he's one of the hardest punchers we've seen in the sport, pound for pound?
Easily. I mean, we've seen a lot of hitters, but not guys that will sleep people at 45 and sleep people at 55. Usually, because we're talking about the translating power, right? If you're a killer at 35 and went to 45, you don't have that. You're a killer at 45 or 50 and you go at 55, you don't have that. We've seen guys go up from 55 to 70. We've seen guys go from 205 to heavyweight, and somehow that power doesn't even translate, right? This guy not only translated that power and the accuracy and the speed and the mindset, but the power went through. Like, he's look, the UFC needs a star. One was born on Saturday. Now, can he push it and become a superstar? That first title defense is going to be a big deal.
So, Eddie, that brings us right into it. With that first title defense, a lot of talk's been made about maybe Spain. They brought Paddy Pimblett on stage. We're going to talk a little bit about Dana White's press conference here in the second half of the show, but he said that he didn't really like the idea of Paddy getting brought in there. I don't know if that was Joe Rogan kind of concocting something on the fly. But there's a lot of good matchups out there for Ilia right now. In my opinion, Arman Sarukian being the toughest test of them. Is that who you'd like to see him fight next? Or should we just immediately go to Paddy, blow this thing up, make a superstar fight somewhere in Europe, and try and get as many eyeballs on this as possible?
Pre-UFC sale, Arman deserves it, earns it. I get it. Yeah, he bitched out last time out. He couldn't make weight, whatever. That's on him, 100%. Post UFC sale, Paddy all day. Well, why wouldn't you do that? Why do you want people to watch your fight? Yeah, you do. Okay, cool. Get the biggest loudmouth out of the UK, all right, to fight the scariest striker on the planet at this point. Okay, do that.
Yeah, and they already have bad blood, Eddie. Remember when he went up to 155 pounds to fight Jai Herbert that weekend? Yeah. He threw a water bottle at Paddy at that UFC London card and kind of had a little bit of feud there between them that I'm sure the UFC package team could put on some countdown shows and stuff like that to hype the fight. So this is something that could be big. Two of the best talkers, two of the next generation superstars up and coming. One, a dominant grappler, and Paddy Pimblett, who really is very big for this weight class. And if they do fight, Paddy's going to be about 6 foot tall to Ilia Topuria's 5'7", which is going to be interesting. But we saw this past weekend that height doesn't necessarily matter when it comes to this guy, Ilia Topuria. Eddie, another comment that I want to make here, I think that talent-wise, he might be one of the most talented fighters I've ever seen. When we saw John Jones come up through the light heavyweight division, his ability to finish fights standing and on the ground really made him unique. I think that's what separates Ilia as well as the confidence and the one-punch knockout power. Jones never really had that one-punch knockout power. Neither did St. Pierre. Neither did Silva, quite honestly. Silva was a very dynamic striker with the knees, the elbows, and the kicks. But this guy does it with the boxing. I saw a statistic that said Ilia Topuria has thrown less than 10 leg kicks in his entire UFC, which is incredible to me.
Yeah, dude. I think the thing about comparing a guy like John Jones, a guy like GSP, a guy like Silva, in my mind, what do those three have in common? Game planning. Those three guys, especially John, are them and their team, because it's not just them. Expert game planners. Expert. Can Ilia do that? We're gonna find out, because Paddy's a different kind of guy. Does Paddy get hit? Yes. Is that a bad thing for Paddy against Ilia? 100%. Armin too, but. Can Ilia deal with changing game plans depending on opponents? That's the question, right?
Yeah, and another guy we didn't talk about is Justin Gaethje, somebody that Ilia Topuria has really diminished the skill set of. When he fought Max Holloway, he thought that Gaethje was nothing more than, in his opinion, a barroom brawler. So there's a little back and forth there, too. I think that Justin Gaethje would get into a firefight with Ilia Topuria, but I see a similar situation happening with really any three of these guys.
Yeah, I think if Justin gets in there, he's going to get slept harder than when Max slept him, like in earlier. Like, it's going to be mean as hell. Like, it's not going to be a nice thing. And you do not want to see a guy that should have already fought for a title at this point, or at least a rematch, get knocked out by him. Now, Justin's in a weird spot because he's coming off a loss, sure. And I get what he's saying. Hey, they owe me. And they do. They do owe him. But, man, that line at 55 for a title shot is long. I mean, relatively long. Because relatively long meaning if you have Armin in front of you, and you can argue Paddy's in front of him too. Okay. How long would that wait be? 2 years? Maybe a year and a half? That's a long time.
He was threatening retirement.
Might as well retire, my boy. All right. You're not getting a title shot unless something happens to Armin, or Armin takes a fight and loses, or Paddy gets hurt or something like that. You're not getting that shot. Now, I'll tell you this. If you give me Ilia Topuria against Justin Gaethje, I'm 100% watching. That's going to be a badass fight. Yeah. But I don't see anything different happening. I think Ilia by knockout.
I am too, but if he doesn't get that fight with Ilia, Eddie, I think that Justin Gaethje, if he wants to fight again and not retire, really has to call out the winner of Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. Maybe try and get that fight back, especially like if Holloway goes and beats Dustin. I don't know how many people are going to necessarily want to see that again. But the other way around, I'd watch Justin fight Dustin one more time for sure.
Yeah, and I would love to see it if I didn't really want Dustin to stick to his word and retire. Like that man's taking enough damage. He's about to have the possible storybook ending. It's already storybook ending it at home. But if he's able to beat Max, that is a storybook as it comes. And I would hate for him to ruin it by getting into a fight with Justin and possibly getting fucked up.
Yeah. But Ilia Topuria, in my opinion, the new face of the UFC, one of the most talented fighters that we've seen in my time watching this sport.
Dude. Sorry. He speaks English. He's a highlight reel fighter. English, Spanish, whatever they speak in Georgia. No offense. Sorry, folks. I didn't do my research. He's funny. He's charming. The fight,
sells it.
Yeah. He's funny. He's charming. Do you want a superstar or not, Dana? Because you got him right there. His name is Ilia Topuria.
And right as John Jones leaving the sport, Eddie, that brings us to this. Right as he exits the door, a new guy comes in, a new face. And now I don't know if you saw Conor McGregor kind of made a tweet after Ilia Topuria won, said that he kind of copied him. He was the first to do it in this sort of thing. Exactly. But I do see training videos of Conor as well. Hopefully he can get something back there. He's 36 years old. There's still time left for him. But Ilia Topuria is going to have matchups ahead of him, whether it's Islam Makhachev or people at his weight class. Eddie, last question on this topic. Do you think Ilia Topuria could be the first ever 3-weight world champion?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He could do it. Now, because the height difference. We're talking about the height difference between him and Patty. That he was. I mean, Oliveira was way taller. That did not matter for shit. So it'll be a good question. I want to see a 70 Islam and Ilya. I know Dana probably doesn't want it. I know a lot of people in the UFC organization probably don't want it because you're talking about holding up and messing around. And he's at least Ilya was able to. Did he defend the title 45 or no? He didn't, right?
He defended it one time versus Max. Beat Volk I believe.
Knocked out Volkanovski, right?
Yeah, knocked out Volkanovski for it in that fight.
Max. Okay, there you go. So at least he defended it, Conor. So I'm sick of Conor McGregor. I know we're not supposed to, that's not part of the topic, but I'm sick of
Eddie, I hate to tell you this, man. If Islam goes and beats Jack, there's only one weight class Conor McGregor can make still, and it's 170 pounds. And the biggest fight on paper, even if we're talking about Ilya Patty,
you're right.
The biggest fight, the most pay-per-view sales that could happen is Islam Makhachev with a title versus Conor McGregor in a comeback fight. That is the biggest fight that can be made in terms of pay-per-view sales, in my opinion. You have Khabib in the corner of Islam facing Conor in his first, and honestly, it would be a chance for Conor to become the first 3-division champion.
I could give a shit about that fight. And what I'm saying, because Islam's going to fuck him up.
Yeah, is a hardcore, no doubt about it.
Right.
When I look back in the sports history, you see Ken Shamrock and those guys, they always had one last fight for the title, one last legendary push in the late stages of their career. I think that they honestly know that Conor probably can't beat anyone in the rankings and just immediately throw him into a title opportunity if the timing lined up.
That one would just be just for the money grab at that point because Conor's going to get fucked up by anybody. Now, you want to have some fun? You tell Conor, hey, bro, cut the roids out. Stop eating so fucking much. Do some jogging. Start cutting that fat. If you can make 55, you ever play Mortal Kombat with your boy and he picks the same character as you?
Yeah.
Come on, dog. Come on. You want to make some money?
That's what I'm saying. Him and Ilya is a great fight, and him and Makhachev's a big fight. And if Ilya fought Makhachev and they were both at around 170 pounds, McGregor could insert himself in there too. So I think that maybe this weekend it reinvigorates Conor McGregor as well. I saw some videos of him out there running with his kids over the weekend, and he was doing hills and getting cardio in. So we'll have to see what the future holds there. But Ilya Topuria is the new face of the UFC. And Eddie, the new pound-for-pound rankings came out today. He's number 2. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm all right with that. There's a lot of inactivity. And then most of the champions, to be honest, aren't that impressive. Islam, number 1. That's about it. Yeah. But hey, Conor, I was at the gym working out with my kid yesterday too. Guess what I'm not doing? Fighting the fucking UFC. So eat it, bro. Here's the thing. I'm sick of it because he doesn't fight. Mm-hmm. If you talk your shit and you back it up, let's do it. You talk your shit and you don't even show up to the fight because your pinky hurts or your pinky toe hurt. Fuck out of here, dog. I don't take you seriously at all. I don't. So now you're right. He comes back. I'm watching too, bro. What can I say? It's a great fucking thing that happened. And if he comes back and he's successful, even better for the UFC and for the sport as a whole. But I don't see it happening. But yeah, you know what? You never know. Crazy shit happens.
Yep. And they do want to, with this new rights deal, they want to get some big fights in there. And
they
honestly, the biggest names in the sport are still at his weight class. So interesting stuff. But Ilya Topuria, now number 2 pound for pound, earns the lightweight title over the weekend. As I mentioned, the ninth person to become a two-division champion, the first one to do so undefeated. Mm-hmm. Eddie, moving down a card to another guy on the pound for pound list, Alexandre Pantoja had a very impressive submission win over Kai Kara France. This really proved how dominant he is. We both had him in our predictions winning this fight by submission. Mm-hmm. Now he gets it done in the 3rd round with a rear naked choke. Kai Kara France really could not keep Pantoja off of him after round 1. And in my opinion, there wasn't a significant moment for Kai Kara France really in this fight. Even on the feet, Pantoja put him back against the fence and was throwing big punches, big hooks. And Kai Kara France, even on the feet, was having to play defensive, was thinking about the takedown and the threat of it. What do you think of Pantoja's performance this week? And is it about time that people start giving him the respect he deserves, even though he is at the smallest weight class?
His problem is lack of high level competition, right? Kai Kara France is not going to have it. He's not going to have it. Kai Kara France. Here's the thing: Kai's biggest highlight in that thing is when he walked out looking like a pissed off toddler. That's about as much as he did. So, that's about as much as he did. So, it's just there's the level of competition, man. Like, we're about this. Honestly, the biggest part of this whole story is not even this fight. It's
no, it ain't
coming up.
That's what we're going to talk about. Yeah. And, that kind of really leads us to the talk about Pantoja because he cleared out this division. You look at the guys like Royval, Kaikar France, Urseg. I'm sorry, who is the Japanese guy they just brought up? Kai Asakura. Yeah, he's just ran through these guys and finished most of them. Pantoja, in my opinion, right now is the second best flyweight of all time. Now, the broadcast was kind of making subliminal comments like, oh, he puts himself in GOAT status at the flyweight division. And like, guys, I know, John Anik, it's your job to sell the fighters and shit like that, but you can't just keep saying this guy's the best ever. And he was doing that a lot in the bantamweight division. He'd be like, Dominic Cruz is the best. And then he'd be like, Aljamain Sterling's the best. And then he's like, Merab's the best ever. Now, it's a fluid situation, obviously, and Merab might be the best bantamweight ever, but we can't just crown someone the GOAT of a weight class when Demetrius Johnson competed in it. And I don't know. I think that some of that stuff's a little bit overblown by the promotion.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it's promotion, dude. You got to sell. Now, and it's funny you mentioned that, and I'll bring it up later. I don't want to, I got to remember to bring it up, but it's something about a photographer that I talked to at the Canelo presser brought this up, and it blew my mind for a second. I was like, holy shit, he's fucking right. But I'll bring it up later. In terms of Alexander Pantoja, 100%, one of the best to ever do it at 125. 100%. Him, Brandon Moreno, and all that. But Demetrius Johnson's the king. You'll never beat him. There's no way. That will never happen unless you match what he did and then exceed it. And I don't see that happening either.
Yeah. Now, Eddie, one thing with Pantoja for me, he's got Joshua Van coming up, but this is a guy before the Joshua Van fight was obviously this weekend. Everybody wants to see it now. But before that, I was really campaigning for Pantoja to move up to 135 pounds and try and do a double champ fight. He's just really cleaned everybody out. But that leads us to our next topic here, Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. How excited are you for the potential of Joshua Van in a title fight here with Pantoja?
Oh, man. You got to wonder, right? Every time he took this fight with Royval, everyone's like, oh, short notice. He's not going to be able to do it. I was one of the few that was like, he could do it. I think you and I both said, but he could fucking do it. Joshua Van's a dog.
But I was like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, exactly. We both said like, dude, he's the dog, man. He's a fucking dog. I don't remember if I picked Van, but either way.
Yeah, I think you went Van on Royval.
I think this stops with Pantoja. I'm not saying that Van's going to get worked. I think it'll be a good fight. Pantoja's such a whole package, and we haven't seen Van have to deal with too much ground attack yet. I want to see Van's good at top. Look, we've seen Van top takedown after takedown after takedown, 100%. We've seen that. That fight will get to the ground. That fight is going to get to the ground. And his cardio will get tested too. What can Van do on the ground against Pantoja, who is in his prime, his championship prime? We've seen a lot of guys like Aljamain Sterling won the title the way he did it, but he won the title. Comes back and he's like almost unbeatable. What the fuck is going on? It's like the levels just explode. And Pantoja did exactly that. So can Van match it? We'll see. I'm excited for it. I love Joshua Van. That dude's so much fun to watch. Game as anybody. And he finally showed a little bit of attitude, in the event this last week. Like, yeah, let's go. Me. They showed, I don't know if you saw, they showed Moreno on the big screen. And he was like, that guy, no, me. He had never done that before. And I'm like, let's go, Josh. Woo.
Yeah, he was certainly feeling himself after that performance. Yeah. But one of the things for Josh in this one, he's going to have to sprawl and brawl, right? He can't go to the ground with Pantoja. And I hate to keep bringing this up every time he fights, but I can only use his last losses, kind of what I'm going off of. But that Charles Johnson fight, Charles Johnson shot for about 10 different takedowns on him, got him tired, and then knocked him out in the third round because the cardio faded. Now, the cardio looked great on Saturday night, but that was a striking battle, right? He wasn't having to constantly fight off the fence, the pressure that Pantoja puts on you. Pantoja is going to make him fight off the back foot, and it's going to be interesting to see the young Joshua Van. Is he going to be able to handle that experience and grappling from Pantoja? I'm going to favor Pantoja in that fight probably, but let's talk a little bit about this fight with Royval, which was a fight of the year contender. Brandon Royval entered the contest as the number one ranked fighter at the 125-pound division. Joshua Van, number 12. But Joshua Van pulls off the upset, defeating Brandon Royval 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27. This was really a great standout performance by Van. Had the more powerful shots than Royval. Royval tried to, put the leg kicks on him and throw the jab out there and out-volume him. But Joshua Van really sits down on some of those hard shots and put damage on Brandon Royval more damaging throughout the 3 rounds. But this was a really entertaining fight, Eddie, and something, in my opinion, that's going to be on the fight of the year list when we rank these fights at the end of the year.
A hell of a fight. Ben comes in at short notice and puts hands on Royval. Royval with pop. Very much a Diaz style striking attack, not in terms of the strikes themselves, but the volume. Right? It's all 50% shot, 50% shots. Boom. Every time, and Ben would wait. I don't know if that whole first round he was wait. As soon as he got close, boom, and you saw like Royval's face said it all. He's like, "Oh shit, that hit hard," and he knew he was in trouble with that first round. And ended up going Ben's way. So I gotta hand it to Royval, man. He could have turned that fight down. He could have done that. You know what I mean? He could have said, I'm not fucking risking my number 1 ranking against the number 11 or 12 or whatever he was guy. He put on the line. It didn't work out, but that's fighting.
And he fought like a dog. Even when he was getting counter-struck by Van and stung when he was coming in, he continued to push forward in that fight. And he really fought like a dog. That was a tough and gritty performance from Royval. And in my opinion, he doesn't lose any stock. But, we'll see what the chin looks like when he comes back because he did take a lot of significant punishment.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Brandon Royval. A lot of guys, a lot of guys and girls learn from JoJo Calderwood. I don't know if you remember Joanne Wood. Yeah. She was supposed to fight for the title. I think something happened to the champion, and she ended up taking a fight and losing. And a lot of fighters saw that and like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. But no, Brandon Royval's a real one.
Mm-hmm. D-Lie Fast, what about Manel Kopp? Manel Kopp would have been in this fight, but pulled out, which is why Joshua Van came in. Joshua Van stole the show, and it's going to be Joshua Van's title fight. Got to show up to the pay-per-views to compete if you want a chance to fight for the title, and Joshua Van really cashed in on short notice.
I think my problem with Kopp is he seemingly has an inability to stay healthy, right? Every time he has a big fight coming up, he just gets hurt somehow. I don't know what the fuck is his deal. But then he talks shit like he's some kind of world beater.
He struggles with grapplers too, Eddie, and he's already lost to Pantoja.
Right. But I mean, but Manel Kopp talks a lot of shit for not even getting in there. That bugs me. Because it's like, dude, no, shut the fuck up. Like, get in there and fight somebody. Because he's gonna come back and be like, I should fight for a title. No, you shouldn't. Like, not because you got injured, but because there's
inactivity.
Fighting move. Wait, the fight game moves on. Whether you get hurt, scared, tired, sick, just pulling out, whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter.
I mean, how many times have we given Manel, or, as the promotion given Manel Kopp number 1 contenders fights, and the media got behind these fights and said, this is the further title. He ruined it with Makayev. All he had to do was beat Makayev, and he would have had a hand-given title opportunity against whether it was Pantoja or Moreno at the time. It was kind of confusing. But
when he came into the UFC, I covered his first or second fight. It was at the Apex. And his English wasn't great, so he was using a translator. And he was speaking in his language and everything. And he said, "I already have," because he came from Ryzen, right? And so I think he was champion there. So he's like, I'm already the champion. I just need the belt, right? And I like that confidence, right? That's cool. You can say that, but then you come back calling people the F slurs and all kinds of shit. And it's like, no, you're not. Okay, now we know you're a dick. It's all it is. You're just talking your shit because you think your talk's gonna get you a fight. It's not, dude. You're a good fighter. He's high level. He's 100% high level. He's fun as hell to watch in a striking battle, 100%. If he even gets in there. Yeah. So
one of the things that Pantoja said when him and Van faced off in the cage was that this guy is respectful. I will give this guy the next shot. He's a respectful, humble guy. And Joshua Van is, and he's the next generation of fighter here, 23 years old. Yeah. Quite the story moving forward.
A lot of fun. I'm excited to see what Joshua Van's doing with his career, man. Because honestly, good dude.
Now he's going to fight for the belt, Eddie. I know John Jones is the youngest champion in UFC history at 23 years old. I got to look up Joshua Van's birthday compared to where Jones was at. I don't know if he's going to necessarily have an opportunity to break that record, but he's going to be one of the youngest ever champions if he does go capture gold, and obviously the youngest at his weight class.
Yeah. I don't know if he's 23 now. By the time this fight happens, he'll probably be 24. So it probably won't happen. But still, and even even then, I don't know if he could beat Pantoja. I think he could. I don't know if he will.
Well, Eddie, from a young up-and-comer to 2 aging veterans, Renato Moicano could not get it done this weekend versus Beneil Dariush. I picked Moicano in this one, but looking back, I just didn't have this one right. When you get these 2 grapplers together, it goes into a striking exchange, and Beneil Dariush was just better on the feet. He was smarter, more tactical, used the inside leg kicks, really kicked the calf of Moicano to death in those first 2 rounds, and he was limping on it in the third. That straight left hand that me and Eddie talked about last week was really the main weapon for Beneil outside the leg kicks. This wasn't the most entertaining fight in the world, Eddie, but on a fight card that really had a lot of exciting moments throughout. This was a competitive matchup between 2 aging veterans.
It was cool, man, but I've been saying it for a while, and this is not a diss, okay, before everyone gets fucking freaking out about this shit. But Renato Moicano is overrated. Everyone talks him up like he's some kind of like champion guy. He's not. He's a great story, amazing talker, full of shit, but amazing talker, right? Entertaining. He's but in the way a WWE wrestler is, not the way an MMA fighter is. And he can fight, but look, Beneil Dariush fucked him up. That leg was not working. That was it. With the right calf or the left calf was fucking.
Yeah, it was just that inside to the outside calf of Moicano, but
Moicano couldn't do anything about it. And it's not even that he doesn't know how. He just couldn't do anything about it. So is what it is.
Yeah, Moicano is kind of a disappointing performance. We just saw him get dusted by Islam Makhachev, and then this happens. And Beneil Dariush had been finished for 2 fights in a row. Moicano, to me, the reason I picked him was a lot to do with that Benoit Saint Denis fight. I thought, Benoit probably has a similar ground game to Beneil. He's also dangerous on the feet, but Renato got it done. But it was not the same matchup, obviously. And Renato Moicano is going to have to move back. What do you want for Beneil here? He's older in age. He's been there, done that. You obviously can't really compete with the top-level guys like Charles Oliveira and Arman Sarukian. That was proven in his 2 fights before. What's next for Beneil? He did not retire on fight night, which means he's probably going to, come back and try this thing one more time. What do you want to see him do next?
I want to see him take his ass home. I don't care. Look, Beneil Dariush, whenever you told me, maybe before the last 2 finishes, right, or got the knockout, I think he got knocked out twice, I think. Before
Charles
those 2,
and Arman.
Yeah, before those 2, I was like, I'm a Beneil Dariush, man. He's close. He could do it. After those 2, nah, fuck out of here. You're not competing with the top 5 at 155. And he'll never sniff a title shot. The line is so goddamn long at this point.
Yeah, you're right. And those were 2 back-to-back knockouts, and I believe less than 2 minutes each. So kind of underwhelming performances. But we go to a very good performance here, a bounce-back performance from Peyton Talbot, who was able to defeat the highly touted prospect Felipe Lima, who was the Octagon champion before coming over. Now, Talbot struggled in his last fight versus Ronnie Barcelos, but gets back in the win column with the unanimous decision victory this weekend. How impressed were you with Peyton Talbot's performance getting back in the win column over a guy who a lot of people respected in Felipe Lima?
Hey, that's a badass fight, dude. That was a lot of fun. I didn't want to see it, and only because you got 2 up-and-comers that can do something, right? Felipe Lima was, dude, that guy's going to be so much fun to watch. Yeah. He's a hard hitter and everything. He just ran into a fucking, what did I call him? I called him a nerd on fight night. He should be a fight nerd, straight up, but he's just good. But good for Peyton Talbot to bounce back. I think he had his first loss last time out, so good for him.
Yeah. First loss. And Barcelos is a guy who's a really good grappler. That's what I'm interested to see moving forward with Talbot. How does he go against the wrestlers and the top-level submission jiu-jitsu guys at this weight class? Eddie, what would you think about a matchup between Peyton Talbot and Raul Rosas Jr.?
A little early.
I know.
It's a little early.
We'd see what we'd get with one of them, though. And it's striker grappler.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet Rosas Jr. gets him. I don't know about a finish, but if he goes to the ground, I think they're both high level and everything. Who do you think is better striking, Peyton or Raul?
Peyton, for sure.
Right.
I think that's a good fight, honestly. Like you said, it might be too early. That might be something we see in like 2-3 years, but they're both in the weight class, and they're both young, and they both have a lot of potential.
Yeah. No, we see it, but I don't want to see it right now. Hell no. But either way, with something on the line, maybe like a number 1 contender type, like, down the road, that'd be dope.
Yeah, I think so too. Down the road, that could be a really, really good fight. But Eddie, we saw a man almost get killed last weekend. Gregory Rodriguez went in there and absolutely shut the lights off of Jack Hermanson. I've got a lot to say about this one. I thought Herb Dean was slow to this. Here's the deal.
Go ahead.
I can't blame Gregory Rodriguez, right? He's the fighter. He has to go until the referee tells him to stop. But if you're Herb Dean and you can't make it there anymore, you got to retire. You cannot have the fighter's safety be at question because you're too old to get there in time. And when you go to the replay and see it, he goes up and tentatively grabs RoboCop around the waist and didn't get there in time before the hammer fist came down. Big John McCarthy, or one of the more physical referees back in the day, and I actually enjoyed how Big John would go and stop fights, because he would literally grab you and make sure, he'd get a little over physical at times, but it needed to be in this time. Herb needed to go under there, get under the arm of Rodriguez that he was throwing, and stop that fight, but he couldn't get there in time. When I was watching this, I couldn't believe that Mark Smith or Mark Goddard or any of these younger guys wouldn't have been able to go in there and make that stoppage. And it was really, I don't know if it was the positioning of Herb being too far back or just him, being too old. But I've listened to Big John on his podcast for the reason why he stepped away, and it was because he said that he was slowing down and couldn't get there in time. I think Herb's going to have to take a long look in the mirror in this one. But for Gregory Rodriguez, he overcame the pressure and the volume striking of Jack Hermansson and landed a devastating left hook. But I do not think that shot on the ground was necessary. He said he didn't really give a shit about it at the press conference. Yeah. But I don't think he made too many fans with that. And I don't think he showed great sportsmanship, if I'm being quite honest.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But here's the thing about Herb Dean, where he was placed, like he was too far back. Like he was way too far. Like, and it's just one of those things where everything moves so quickly. It's really, I find it hard to blame Herb Dean, who knows how old he is. Knees ain't working that well. Back's probably hurting that bad. It's difficult to move, especially look, he saw the hit right in front of him. We all was like,
Herb 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Herb 5 years ago. Would he have got there?
Gets him 100%. 100%. Because he's physical. Now it's like, all right, you need to get in close. You need to do something different, right? And in terms of RoboCop saying he don't give a shit, like Look, man, I'm old school. But this thing, what people don't understand, like having fought Brazilians in jiu-jitsu before, quite a few. It's a different. It reminds me of my culture when I was fighting when I was young, Mexican culture, right? You don't give a fuck. You signed, I signed. We're throwing down and someone gets fucking hurt. Someone gets fucking hurt. And if you get really fucking hurt, good, bitch. I hope I hurt you real fucking bad. It's that kind of thing, right? So I'm not surprised he was like, I don't give a shit. It's not my job to stop. It's his job. And so to me, it was just a shitty situation overall, right? And luckily Jack Hermansson came too and all that.
Eddie, if he didn't come to, though, we're in the middle of a rights deal right now for television, and this sport is still in its infancy. We haven't had our first death. We don't know what would happen and what the public outcry would be if Jack Hermansson was laying there like this, ate that hammer fist. We saw his hands drop, and he never wakes back up. That could have very easily happened.
100%. Could have. It didn't.
No.
It didn't. That's all it is.
Do you think do you think we would have a problem with do you think that there would be a problem with the viewing rights situation? Like if someone pulled and died, CNN would be running articles, everybody would be running articles saying that this, is outrageous and stuff. Obviously, boxing's had its own deaths, and we know that this stuff happens in combat sports, but how much of an image do you think, or a damage to the image of the UFC brand would that have been if something bad like that would have happened?
The number I've heard recently of boxers that have died in the ring is astronomical. I've heard between 500 and 2,000. Has it messed their TV rights, dog? No. There's something we need to accept as Americans and as human beings, but definitely Americans, okay? Is that for some reason this culture is bloodthirsty. We love seeing crazy shit. Have you ever seen those fucking assholes that put the tightrope across the Grand Canyon and they walk across it? Did you ever fucking watch it, have to see them actually make it? Because I didn't. I was like, I want to see this motherfucker falls. Yeah. When he made it, you know what I did? Hey, when he made it, you know what I did? Change the channel. I don't give a shit anymore. Fuck, he made it. Who gives a fuck? Oh, he caught a body. He caught a spirit. He caught a soul. He caught his girl's body. He caught all kinds of body. Dude, Gregory ended the entire bloodline that night. It was over. That dude is not gonna be able to have kids. That's how hard he hit him, dude. But at the end of the day, dude, no, it's not gonna affect shit at all. It might even help it if that happens, which is fucking sad as shit to say, honestly, because that's what it is, right? Something super dangerous that people get in there. So, if it hasn't affected boxing, it's not gonna affect MMA. I don't see it. You know what's gonna affect MMA? Shitty fights and watered down cards.
That's right. But honestly, the fight after this was pretty, it wasn't the greatest in the world. But The fight before this, Jose Delgado versus Hyder Emil. Good God, Eddie, was I off on my prediction for Hyder Emil? I was wanting, he scrap pack trained Gilbert Melendez in the corner, but Jose Delgado hit him with a knee up the middle that he never saw coming. Almost flatlined him with the knee, followed up with some ground and pound as well. Jose Delgado looked awesome Saturday on fight night. What'd you make of his performance, stopping Hyder Emil and giving him his first loss professionally?
I don't really get up and jump around losing my shit very often when it comes to fights, because I've seen thousands. I've watched thousands of fights, thousands at this point. But motherfucker, I hopped up like, let's fucking go, because he's so fucking cool. He's a good kid. He puts his nose down, busts his ass, and whoops ass. It was dope as hell. I didn't see him doing that though. I mean, honest with you, I did not see a knockout like that come. I thought it was gonna be knockouts the other way. Hyder Emil tries to take your head off, and then and
that's what I'm saying. Hyder came forward, he pressed him, but then he got hit with some straight shots, and immediately when it went into the clinch, that knee up the middle, it almost looked like Hyder Emil was trying to level change as the knee came in and got caught right with it. So
that was 100%, in my opinion, 100% game plan, right? They all know Hyder Emil is just a bull in a china shop, fucking going. So Hyder, just like you said, come here. How do you stop a guy like running at you? Straight shot. You don't hook, because if you hook, he's already close. You straight shot, right? As soon as Hyder got hit, he's like, oh, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna keep going. And then the knee came up and it was over. It was beautifully placed. I will not be surprised. I'm gonna try and get a hold of him so I can get an interview, but see what happens. But I would love to. I'm willing to bet that was a game plan. I'm one of the best game plans. Dope.
Well, if it was a game plan, he executed it to perfection. Jose Delgado making a name for himself on pay-per-view. We're very interested to see what he does next in this weight class, as he just handed Hyder Emil his first professional loss. Eddie, moving down the card here, we had some other good performances as well. Tracy Cortez was able to get a victory over Vivian Araujo. This one was by unanimous decision. Quickly, these girls were both ranked. How much do you think this matters for the weight class? And Tracy Cortez, moving up here in the rankings, where do you see her title aspirations in the future?
Tracy?
Yeah.
I need to see her put a winning streak first.
Yep.
And show activity. What, she fight like once every year? Great performance.
I think she's won 5 of her last 6, I believe.
No, but she fights once a year.
Yeah.
You're not fighting for a title doing once a year fights, bro. It's just not happening. Yeah, she needs to look. What I'm glad to hear is that she got her health in order, because that was some scary shit. Like, she's never given details about it. I've heard rumors, but I'm never gonna put out rumors because I don't know. But it was scary shit, right? Whatever she was going through, she said as much in the post fight. So, happy for her. Mm-hmm. Happy for her. Bunch of you dirty motherfuckers literally DM me asking for this picture and the video of her officials in a ceremony. You dirty motherfuckers. All right, what the hell? Anyway, but
hey, Eddie, real quick, what did she say after the post fight? I think she said something to the
in Spanish.
Yeah, to the Spanish speaking people. I didn't know what she was saying. Did you translate that?
Yeah. So she didn't give much detail into what she was talking about, but that's what she said. If you know, you know. With the deportation, the current administration,
ICE situation,
the whole ICE situation and everything. I mean, in Phoenix alone, like they're at this point there. And look, and because I've seen it, motherfuckers, y'all can kick rocks. It's not true. No, it's fucking true. I've seen them. They harass people at this point. It's become such a turbulent and really, I mean, the thing is a powder keg ready to fucking explode. The situation between ICE and the people, right? So it was that. It was basically that, like, yeah. People getting picked up and deported, not even criminals anymore. It's just anybody that anybody. It's fucking scary shit. So out here in our community, it's scary. It legitimately is scaring a lot of fucking people. And so she wanted to say something about it, but she wasn't very specific or detailed about it. So a lot of people coming out saying like, "Oh, she didn't really say anything." So kind of true. Yeah. But she just felt like she needed to say something. She actually cleared it out. She didn't clear it up, but she expanded a little bit in the post-fight interview in the presser, basically saying like she basically said what she said the way she said it because she didn't feel like if she was qualified to speak on that situation. Which horseshit, Tracy, you are. You're in the middle of Phoenix. You've seen it with your own eyes too. You're qualified. I'm qualified. I can speak on that shit if I want to as well. So, but that's all it was, dude.
Yeah, I just didn't know it was being said. I figured it was something along the line of that, but good for her getting her message out there for her people. Moving on the card, though, Terrence McKinney puts on another, it's either feast or famine with McKinney, right? He either a finish in like a minute or 2 minutes, or the guy gets knocked out himself. He held the record for fastest knockout in UFC history in the lightweight division. Now he gets one of the fastest submissions in the history of the lightweight division, getting the guillotine over Borashev. Now Slava Claus tried to get out of this, but he was in a deep guillotine from Mount, and there was nowhere to go. He tried very hard, but eventually had to submit before going out. What'd you make of McKinney's performance? He really just showed how dominant of a grappler he is. A couple of times when he gets in there with Esteban Ribovics and some of these elite strikers, I feel like he falls in love with his hands, doesn't get the grappling going, and then the fight's over, right? We didn't see him really wrestle against Ribovics in that bad loss. Do you think that McKinney needs to be focusing on that grappling moving forward? Because he looked tremendous using it last weekend.
I'm not convinced with McKinney anymore. Right, the best fights we've seen him in are when he blitzes dudes and finishes them, right, like this.
Yeah.
When it doesn't work out, he gets blitzed badly. What I want to see from him to even believe in him at all, that he'll actually do something in the UFC, is get in there, show us a couple of rounds, and then find a finish, right, or get the finish as it comes. I'm just not impressed by him at all. So, great win, 100%, good name to beat and everything. Let's see who you get next. Someone a little higher up, low level up that can stop that bullshit.
Yeah,
there goes.
I mean, that's a great point, Eddie, because Borashev coming into this one was 8-5, right? He fell to 8-6. We've seen him lose to like 4 grapplers in a row. I think this was kind of a get right fight for McKinney, get his confidence back, and now we're going to see him on another push, see what he can do, and how far he can move up the rankings. But great win by Terrence McKinney, submission of the night, more than likely, outside of Alexandre Pantoja. Eddie, is there another fight on the card? Oh, I want to talk about Alvin Hines' debut, because we normally complain about heavyweights.
Yeah.
These guys are fat slobs now and all this stuff. Alvin Hines came in there and put on a performance that was very exciting. He was a guy who was fresh out of prison. He's got a colored story and background, but this guy risked it all against Jonathan Deniz, who is a one-shot knockout guy, a former professional kickboxer, and Alvin Hines stayed on the feet with him for 15 minutes. And I don't really know how to describe his fighting style other than really it's like a prison fight. He goes in there and he tries to make it close quarters. He tries to wear you out. And by the time that, 13, 14 minutes had come around, Jonathan Deniz was extremely exhausted from the pressure that Hines had been putting on him the entire time. He just fights very dirty, very aggressive in the clinch and up against the cage. What'd you make about Alvin Hines' performance? I know he didn't get a win, so we can't be like that high on him, but he was fighting a really tough guy in Deniz and fought him at his own game.
Dude, I am so excited to see a guy like Alvin Hines in there. Is he going to be a champion? Probably not. But, dude, did he ever quit? Did he ever slow down? He's the people's heavyweight right there. That guy. And then he came in, big ass smile on his face, like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm here, let's do this shit. And usually you see guys that taking it all in, and they get in there, and he got in there, and he got cracked by Deniz. I just realized I misspelled the last name. My bad. Sorry, dog. I was high on. I was running on no sleep whatsoever, and I was hyped about Hines, and I was hoping to beat your ass. But it is what it is. But I know Hines is a dog, dude. He's a dog. I immediately became a fan. I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go, Hines!" Like, I hope he fights a bunch of times, makes as much money as he can, maybe even sneaks into the rankings, and then makes his way to where he really should be, bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, he could probably honestly be a contender in that, but I think
hey, Alvin Hines is the champion at BKFC. Dave Feldman. Dave, don't be like fucking Don Davis. Listen, heed my words. Get this guy's phone number and tell him as soon as you're done, let's go.
Yeah, for sure. That could be a home for Alvin Hines in the future, but I think he's got some exciting fights here in the UFC ahead of him. I don't know what the grappling defense looks like. I'm not saying to throw him to Ty Burr or anybody yet, but I think he'd be, him and Derek Lewis would be an interesting fight. Him and some of these other strikers in the division, a Tuivasa, somebody like that'd be interesting. So there's a new guy on the block there in the heavyweight division. Happy that Alvin Hines has found a new path in life and moving forward in the right direction. So good for him.
I'm excited about heavyweight with him in it just because it's fun. I don't expect them to win anything, but I expect them to put on some fucking dog fights.
Like, how many of these guys, we've talked about it, like when Romanov was over here, no disrespect to anybody, but, Martin Boutier, a lot of these guys, Jake Collier,
Are we gonna talk about?
It's like
Are we gonna talk about
guy.
my guy? Are we gonna talk about Romanov, bro?
We will here in a minute. We will.
Okay, because that was the greatest win I've ever seen.
I don't know how you're gonna win out of that, but
in PFL history, it's the biggest win of all time. All right, sorry.
I heard somebody on the PFL crew when I was in the back was like, "That's the worst nut shot ever," and I was like, "Well, it probably is, but that's something crazy to be bragging about."
I was at a PT Gold. This is like whatever, it's a little sports bar in Vegas, right after ceremonials. Watching that while I was doing thumbnails for your stuff and all that. And I had that phone on. Dude next to me is like, first he's nosy bastard, fucking watching my computer and everything. And he gets hit in the nuts like that. He goes, "Oh shit, does he have kids?" I'm like, "I don't know." He goes, "He ain't gonna have none now." Ugh. I'm like, "Yeah, that was pretty bad." Anyway, but that was rough. We'll talk about it here in a second, I'm sure. And as far as the knees, he has a story I forgot all about that I should have brought up last show. This motherfucker took a fight in a hot air balloon.
Oh, you know about I saw that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember I saw that on the internet. I was like, "That's not fucking real." And then I come to find out it's real. This guy's a psychopath. Yeah. Took a fight in a cage in the middle of the air and then jumped off with this fucking parachute. I'm like, that huge motherfucker. That is so sick. I'll never do that. I won't even go up there and cover it. Fuck you. But
basically fighting a dude until he just is like, "I've had enough," and jumps.
I'm done. Woo, gone. It was so sick, dude. It was so sick. But yeah, good for him, dude. Good for him.
Yeah. Moving on, Eddie. What's up?
Breaking fucking news.
Oh, we got some breaking news.
Nothing to do with the UFC. As reported, Amazon is walking away. Prime Video will not renew its one championship deal in 2025. Wow. So
yeah, I read something from John S. Nash that they lost $93 million in 2023.
Oh, it's a lot more than that. But that's just what's disclosed. They've been letting go of staff left and right. A couple of my friends got let go. The editorial staff, PR staff, they're letting go of people. So now they're completely going to Bangkok only. So what does that mean? That is not a strategic move. We're gonna do better. That is an all-out. Holy shit, we're in trouble. Haul ass back home. Button on the hatches and shit. Put up the put the bridges up as high as you can, and hang on for dear fucking life.
Muay Thai only is what it looks like.
That, or we're about to watch a very slow death of one championship. Yep. Holy shit! So this is massive because this means two things. One championship is fucked, in my opinion. Two, hey Dana, Amazon, what's up, my boy? What's going on, dog? We got some money.
Yeah, and I don't even know if there's that many people left in the one championship roster that are worth the
not MMA.
Yeah, maybe Anatoly Malikin. I don't know if he lost to that Rug dude, I think.
Hey, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Anatoly's like, I'm ready to fight.
Steroids, yeah, for sure. For sure. A lot of those guys. One is dead. It's kind of been dead, in my opinion, for a few years. One of the people I actually enjoyed watching was that young girl, Stamp Vertex.
That's the sad part. That's the sad part. Because she can fight Muay Thai too, but she was a fun MMA fighter. If I'm
PFL, I'd probably pick her up to try and fight Dakota.
If I'm PFL, I'll bust my ass to get her. If I'm UFC, I'm like, you want to come take a shot?
Yeah.
People, look, they canceled the card in Denver this year, right? I was supposed to go. They canceled it because she got hurt. They had a bunch of other fighters on the roster, and she gets hurt, and you cancel to go with the goddamn card. That says something. Yeah. She got fucked up. It was something with her leg. I can't remember. It was like either broken leg or a torn something or other. But yeah, no. So sorry to throw the whole fucking thing off. But that to me is huge. That's like the death of one championship right there.
Yeah, so big news today, breaking news. We normally don't get that during the broadcast. But honestly, Eddie, there was some crazy news coming out of TuffnUff, crazy enough over the weekend. Sean Strickland got taunted by I don't know if it's an amateur fight or a low-level professional fight, but him and Chris Curtis were in the corner of a teammate. And, do we have the video for it, Eddie?
Oh, yes, we do. All right, let me go ahead and cue it up here. So if you guys don't know, if you want to cue it up with it, you want to tell people about it while I get started?
Yeah, so Sean Strickland here was cornering a guy, I'm sure Extreme Couture product, fighting at TuffnUff. And after the contest, the guy lost by standing guillotine choke. The guy you see here starts giving Sean Strickland the suck it.
That's so wild. He ducked walked his ass over there. Just, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Strickland.
As soon as I get these shoes, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Chris Curtis was like, I'm gonna grab this guy so Sean doesn't actually fight him, and then he like waves off Sean. If it wasn't for Chris Curtis, that would have been pretty bad, probably.
My guy, that shit was fucking hilarious.
Good to see him and Chris Curtis on speaking terms again, though.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it's you know, who knows what's going on with that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But Chris Curtis got in there, just wanted to talk to the guy, right? And Sean Strickland's like, I'm gonna fuck him.
Kill you.
What'd you say about my mama? Like that kind of shit. It was hilarious. End of the day, turns out, you know, he said something like he was looking over at Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland like, I suck my dick, I'm gonna fuck you up and stuff.
Yeah.
Look, if you are a licensed second, that's what they call them, right? The cornerman seconds. That's what, you know, if you guys don't know, that's why you hear, you know, in between rounds or at the end of the break, you always hear seconds out. That means seconds get the fuck out, right? Those guys are. If you're a licensed cornerman, you are subject to punishments for shit like that. That could have possibly fucked 2025, the rest of 2025 for Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis on top of that. We'll see.
Honestly, I don't know who Sean would fight here. A lot of people are calling for him and Izzy too, right?
Izzy is too. Izzy wants that. That's what he said anyway.
What do you think did they do though? We haven't really seen like this before, something like this happen before. You think they give him the 6-month suspension?
I think it's more. You got to do more. You got to nip us in the bud. This is not Russia. You've seen those fucking Russian promotions? These assholes do like face-offs. They do face-offs and start fighting each other at the friggin' face-off at the press con, like literally throwing hands. And these promoters love that because it's a viral moment. It's old now, motherfucker. Stop it. It's dumb. But you don't want that shit in the UFC or any American promotion at least, or any major promotion either. So you gotta nip it in the bud. We'll see what happens here. I think maybe they'll be like, it's his first time, but dude, Sean Strickland's kind of unhinged when he gets mad. No, he's very unhinged when he gets mad.
Yeah, it's hard for him to control his emotions. So
impossible.
I'm surprised that Eric or a senior coach from the team wasn't there in the corner to kind of try and cool those guys down. But
I'm not surprised just for the fact that at that point, you know, it wasn't an amateur fight, but it was it was tough enough.
You'll
send the guys that coach those guys directly, like Sean Strickland, like Chris Curtis. You'll get those guys in there in the corner. But either way, it's funny as hell.
Yeah. So Eddie, we had a boxing contest that I don't think we're necessarily either too interested in over the weekend, but Jake Paul defeated Julio Cesar Chavez.
Oh, Jake won?
He did. Now, Julio didn't really throw a punch until the 5th round. If you go back and look at the punching stats, it's almost comical. I think he tripled up his punches in the 12th round than what he had in the first round. So I don't know what's going on, but these guys don't throw punches when they're in there with Jake Paul. You know, I'm not impressed with any of this. They're saying Jake Paul might get an official ranking. If one of these organized bodies ranks him in the cruiserweight division without ever fighting a fighter that is like under a professional banner, like it's unbelievable. Julio Cesar Chavez fought at 2 weight classes lower than cruiserweight when he was in his prime.
Get the fuck out of here. They're going to give him a ranking. He's ranked. He's number 14.
In one. It's in one.
WBA.
Yeah.
You motherfuckers should be ashamed of yourselves. What is that shit? What is that shit? Yeah, Jake Paul right now is at the nearest fucking nursing home fighting his next opponent. You motherfuckers ranked them?
Mike Tyson. Like, what are you guys doing? I just don't understand it.
It's this
Why didn't you
idiocracy.
just throw Butterbean in the heavyweight division back?
Might as well do it. Fuck. Shit. Why not? It's so dumb, dude. I'm like, fight someone that can fight back, actually fight back. So Chavez Jr., anyone that watches boxing, anyone that even half-ass watches boxing knows Chavez Jr. is trash. He ain't fighting nobody. This dude shows up, misses weight, shows up drugged out, cracked out, takes bumps
he's been
in the middle.
coked out since after Canelo.
He cokes up in between fucking rounds, dude. We've seen it. It's on video. Okay, this is a joke. It's a whole fucking joke, and the only person I feel bad for is Chavez Jr.'s dad because his dad's a fucking legend.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was there on fight night. But, Eddie, let's talk about some real boxing because you had a big moment at the Netflix press conference last week talking to Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. Let's play this real quick, and then we'll get our thoughts on and expectations for this boxing fight at Allegiant Stadium.
Oh, fuck me. I thought I had it queued, my boy. Give me a second. So, shit me. Where did I put that shit? Sorry, bro. I thought I had this queued up. Oh, there it is. Cool. Here we go.
Pregunta para Canelo. Ya escuchaste la reacción de la gente mexicana aquí adentro. Escúchalos.
¡Viva México, cabrones!
¿Cómo se siente tener el apoyo de una nación entera y de toda la gente mexicana que está aquí?
Canelo, you've heard the support of the crowd. Can you hear him?
Yannick in the back.
Screaming. What does it feel like to have an entire nation behind you for this fight?
La verdad es que me siento
muy
contento.
Fast forward.
Independencia para mí es un orgullo. Muchas gracias a todos por su apoyo y que viva México, cabrones.
I feel very happy and very grateful for everybody here, for everybody that's been.
All right, so that's enough of that. So that was easily the wildest moment in my career. Like the coolest moment. Like so here's what happened. So the Canelo presser was on a schedule, right? We could get credentials to it. Canelo's from my hometown, bro. He's my favorite boxer. Like there was no way I wasn't gonna go. I was like, sweet, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna film it, get some photos of Canelo. Cool, good shit. So we get up there now, and you've been a presser?
Not one of the boxing ones.
Okay.
Was it the same UFC layout?
Same UFC layout.
Okay.
Because it's TKO, right? So it's seats in the front, and then the back is that stage for cameras. So every time I go, the idea when you go to a press conference or even the ceremonial weigh-ins, whenever you have to deal with a stage, is you need to get there early, so you're one of the first in line to get in and get a spot on the stage. Otherwise, you're kind of fucked because we're not one of the ones that gets a sticker on the bottom on the ground that gets a spot. Like all these other, other outlets, a lot of other outlets, the bigger ones especially, get like a spot assigned to them. I didn't. I was an open spot. So I had to get there early. So I was there an hour early, sitting there with Kenny from Junkie, just shooting the shit. Anyway, so we get in, boom, get in there, set up a camera, sitting there just waiting. It was like a fucking almost an hour-long wait once we got in. But so we're standing there, whatever, and they come up to me like, hey, man, you want to ask a question? I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't even think about it. You know me. If you ask me, do you want a question? Do you want an interview? I've never said no.
Yeah.
You said me Ahmed Magomedov, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Fuck. Like, I don't care. I love talking about fighters, right? But I was like, yeah, do it. So I didn't even think about it. Maybe 30 seconds before I got the mic handed to me, he goes, hey, and it was funny because I sat there. I wanted to fuck with him, but I didn't have much time. Because he looks at me and goes, hey, man, you want to do it in Spanish? And I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, sure. I don't care. And I wanted to say, like, bitch, is it because I'm brown? You think I'm Mexican? But I am Mexican, so. But he hands me the mic. So somebody had, I'm not going to put his name out because fuck him. All right. But somebody before had asked Terrence Crawford a question about how MMA fighters don't know, or MMA fans don't really know Bud. And Bud was like, you do your research, bro. I take pictures of MMA fans all the fucking time. They know me. And that made me laugh. And I didn't even hear that because I don't pay attention to a lot of these people. But I didn't even hear it live. I didn't see it till afterwards when someone sent me the clip of just that. They're like, dude, do you know this guy? And I'm like, I know who he is. But either way, he hands me the mic, and I'm just like, oh, shit. I'm translating my old question in my head. And he goes, can you do it in Spanish? Yeah, sure. And he goes, all right, here you go. And I'm like, oh, fuck. All right, fuck it. Easy pickings. Yeah, I go easy pickings. Canelo, as you heard the reception of the crowd. I didn't realize I didn't do it on purpose. Oh, okay. At the time, I didn't do it on purpose, but it was perfectly done. When I said Mexicans, right, the Mexican people, la gente mexicana, I slowed down really slow when I said mexicana, and it cued the crowd. That's a cue to the crowd to fucking react. Dude, the audio on the video doesn't do it justice, okay, at all. It got really fucking loud. And then Canelo goes, he screams out, Mexico cabrones, and the place fucking explodes. And when I tell you that, because I am Mexican, I felt the energy of my people, dude. Like, it was like a shot of electricity. I'm a dumbass. Anyway, they fucking get loud as shit. He gives me the greatest answer I've ever gotten in any question ever. Okay. And then again, I hit the mic back. I'm standing there. I shit you not. My leg would not stop shaking. I was so fucking like hyped, and I was ready to fight, dude. I was electro-fucking-fied. And my dumbass, my first thought after the whole thing was finally calmed down was, so that's how The Rock feels when he comes out to the WWE. It was so stupid, dude. But it was such a fucking and it was funny because I had family in Mexico apparently watch the fucking presser. I didn't even tell them I was going to be there. No one knew. My parents didn't know. And my parents were out of town. And maybe 20 minutes after the moment, I get a text from my mom, and she goes, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, what happened? Like, all right, whatever. Thanks, Mom. I love you too. Like, all right. And then my dad texts me. My dad look, Mexican culture, anyone that's Mexican, you guys know what I'm talking about. We're not the most emotional or affectionate people whatsoever. The message I got from my dad was like the coolest shit ever. And I'm like, did you guys watch it? He goes, we're at your uncle's house, and he happened to have it on because my uncle's a huge boxing guy. He loves Canelo. All right. And he missed the one live in New York, so he was gonna catch this one. He goes, and apparently my face popped up, and they're like, isn't that, yo, that's your boy? And my dad was like, holy shit. And like they saw the moment, so they got to see it live. Proudest fucking moment ever, dude, in my career. Awesome, easily. Man. It was awesome. Like, and then like my phone started blowing up, texts from friends and family and shit. They're like, dude, that was fucking sick. And then like I didn't realize I had the microphone up with the Netflix end on it, like, because he just handed it to me. I just took it like it was. Yeah. And it was like the Netflix and shit. I'm like, holy shit. And
yeah, so it was an awesome moment, man.
Dude, it was the coolest moment of my career by far. And I've got to ask Jose Aldo a question, which that's the only guy I've ever been starstruck by in Utah. First Utah pay-per-view for the UFC. And I asked him, like, hey, so is it title buster or title? I said, hey Jose, question for you. And he looks at me and I'm like, is it about everything's about the title now, right? Like I fucking froze. This tops it by a fucking building. All right. It was so fucking cool. And I want to thank you to everybody that reached out. I got a ridiculous amount of messages saying like you hyped that crowd up. It was so fucking cool to hear, see you doing that shit. Like I had a friend from fucking college that I haven't talked to in like 15 years find me on Facebook, and he was like, dude, we were watching that shit. Holy fuck, dude. It was honestly the coolest shit. And like I'm just very grateful to everyone that reached out. Thank you guys for the messages and everything. It was fucking dope. And that's one of those moments I'm never gonna forget it. And I still like just thinking about it, I'm feeling the energy again. Like I might have to go work out after this shit.
Get some adrenaline in you.
Ooh, it was so cool, dude. It was cool. And then awesome. shout out to Anik. I met Anik. You know who Anik is? You met
yeah, good guy.
Yeah, you know Anik. Yeah. When I was setting up, I heard a voice and I recognized it. I was like, the fuck? I look over to Anik, right? He's never seen me without a hat on, right? Because I mean, I'm 39, bro. I shave my head anyway, but
yeah.
Hats are more comfortable these days. So, and I just go, boom, I popped him in the chest.
There's a dude in the chat that's always giving you shit about the hat.
Oh, yeah, he disappeared. Where's he at?
I know. Yeah.
Rick Allen, Rick Glenn. I can't remember his name. But, and I popped him in the chest with the back of my hand. He looks at me and goes, what the oh, shit! It was the coolest shit. Like, it was a dope fucking day. I was only there for Friday. I met him. Do you know MLH Media? Michael Hernandez?
Yeah.
I met Michael. That was fucking dude. Just one of the coolest kids. Mike, I've been watching Mike's shit for years, dude. For a couple years now. The kid has it. He has it. He needs a chance. I really would hope. I would love to get him on the team. I know we're forced on this shit, but I would love to get him on the team. Be dope. So honestly, super cool thing. And then Gabriel fucking killed it. Gabriel killed it the whole week. UFCX was dope. You guys have your aim for a treat. Like he came up with a dope ass trading card game that on there and shit with and we got him the Cageside backdrop. Honestly, one of the coolest days for me, but honestly a great week for your Cageside press. 100%.
Yeah, we're very happy with how everything's going. But Eddie, we also have to go with a PFL Chicago card that was going on last week. Just recap it quickly. We had 4 fights end by decision and a nut shot for the semifinals. Quickly, Dalton Rasta defeated Aaron Jeffrey in a rematch by unanimous decision. That one was really competitive. I actually scored that fight 2-1 for Jeffrey, as did a lot of people online. Is that how you saw it too, Eddie?
Fuck yeah, dude. Dalton had no business winning that fight. I had Aaron Jeffrey. Jeffrey got robbed. 100% got robbed. And who was it? Pat Dana. Pat Dana actually, he's hooked up with those guys a bit. And somebody high up at PFL said that was the worst robbery they ever seen. So, that was bad.
It was bad. I'm not saying it was GSP Johnny Hendricks, but
no. It was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad. Yeah, no. Wasn't there another?
Called it out too.
Oh, he did. He should have. But there wasn't there like another one that night too that was like fucked up, like 2 or 3.
Slow is close. 2 of them close to for
Which
2
one?
of them. Sullivan Cauley and Phil Davis, and then Sergio Pettis and Stotts.
I had Stotts winning and I had Phil winning.
I did too.
Like I don't know what the fuck's going on with PFL, but those 3 fights on one card, 3.
Stotts had like 5 minutes of ground control in that first round.
I was seriously when they announced the scores. I'm like, how, Sway? How? That makes no sense. I felt off over Stott. Stott's such a cool fucking guy. Mind you, Sergio's a dope ass dude too. I talked to him before. And I actually interviewed Stotts before this card. But dude,
two great guys.
It sucks that someone had to lose, right? But Stotts won that fight. Come on now.
Yeah, I thought so too. Now, Phil Davis, Sullivan Cauley is a little bit different for me, right? Because a star was born with Ilia Topuria last week in the UFC. Sullivan Cauley might be the next best light heavyweight outside the UFC right now. Trained with Ryan Bader for those 2 fights against Phil Davis. Trains with, guys who have been world champions. He wrestled in college at Arizona State, just like Ryan Bader did. He's got heavy, heavy power in his hands that we saw in the Phil Davis fight. Mm-hmm. He knocked Phil down in that first round, glancing head kick, but he actually hit him with a piston-like right hand that sat Phil down. We don't see Phil really, take a lot of punishment in these fights. And honestly, Sullivan Cauley really impressed me.
He's learned a lot. From what I was in his first or second Bellator fight. It was here in Phoenix, and he got the finish, and his mom was literally smacking my back because like fucking pressure was right there, and then it was like family seating. Like I could literally lay back and feel the bar from the barrier, and she's like, "Oh my god!" I turned around, I'm like, "What the fuck?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm his mom," and I'm like, "Nah, I get it, dude. Do you think it's all good?" Yeah. So the growth is it's been slow, but it hasn't it's not like it hasn't been any growth. Mm-hmm. He's improved everywhere, dude. Honestly, you might be right, dude. Might be the second or third best light heavyweight outside the UFC. Mm-hmm. And
his cardio impressed me too. Going 3 rounds with Phil like that.
I was surprised as fuck. I thought he was gonna like hit a dead end, and I think he said in the post fight.
You edited it.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. I clipped it. Where he was talking about like during the post fight, he was talking about like, at one point I didn't even feel my arms anymore, but I was like, fuck it. I was like,
he's got a great personality, Eddie. He really does.
So here's the thing. Now this is where I challenge you, Mr. Cauley. Let that out. Let your personality out. Right? Start going out and doing shit for the community and filming it. And I know it's kind of anything, but you have personality. Gain, use it. Get some traction, get some backing, get some support from the fight fans, from the people and everything, and then you got something. But right now, just whatever. I'm just fighting. The best thing he did
at that post fight, he's like, "Man, I could go for 30 or 40 beers right now." That's what people want to see. I want to see a guy that's kind of like them and relatable.
Tell me, be the guy I want to go have a beer with. Mm-hmm. You know who that is right now for me? Alvin Hines.
Yeah,
do that, Cauley.
You have too many beers with Alvin Hines, you might end in the back of a cop car.
I might be dead. Yeah, that's no way I would make it. And that dude went to prison. That's what I'm saying. But Cauley's a good dude, and I just want to see him. I want to see him succeed so bad, dude. Mind you, I still think Phil Davis won the fight, but it's cool to see some new blood. So now it's Cauley and Shoeface.
I will say this. Now you are always scoring fights on damage, but I honestly thought Sullivan did more damage in that fight, but Phil's wrestling and experience against the cage, it was a lot, right? There was a lot of it. But for Sullivan Cauley, he's going to fight a guy in Antonio Carlos Jr., who in my opinion, Eddie, might be an easier matchup for him than Phil Davis was. I think Sullivan Cauley could win this light heavyweight tournament pretty easily.
I think he can knock out Carlos Jr. I don't think he wants to go to the ground with him. But if he keeps it standing, he's able to do it. Carlos Jr.'s hands have never really evolved. It's gotten better, but not. I can't even call it good.
I think he's kind of the same fighter we saw on day one in the UFC, right?
100%. Yeah, and there's a reason he's not in there anymore. But I honestly think he should be able to knock Carlos Jr. out. He should be able to. So we'll see.
It'll be interesting. I like that matchup a lot. It'll prove a lot for Sullivan Cauley if he is able to get it done. But moving down the card, Oleg Popov defeated Rodrigo Nascimento, former UFC fighter Nascimento, by unanimous decision. Popov, outside of the real top of the spear guys in PFL like Goltsov, like Francis, like Renan Ferreira, Popov's going to run through the rest of these guys. He's too technical. He's too well-rounded, trains at too good of a gym, and he's too smart. But what's going to happen when Popov goes and fights maybe Alexander Romanov, maybe Carl Williams? We don't really know what's going to happen. Eddie, the nut shot heard round the world was the other semifinal. Romanov, the former UFC contender, was on a tear here in the PFL, got a finish in his first fight. In the second fight, he was beating Moldavsky and doing good work, but caught a vicious knee against the cage there that ended the fight. One of the worst nut shots in UFC history. The 265-pound man had to be stretchered out of the cage and was immediately taken to the hospital, probably had to do surgery at the hospital. Eddie, what do you make of the semifinal bracket in the PFL right now with this heavyweight division in the situation that's kind of unfolding?
I tweeted it out during the fights, especially after the one of the shitty decisions. I was like, man, PFL is PFLing hard tonight. It fucking was. That is like, and we always joke around about Bellator luck. The PFL didn't just buy the roster. They grabbed Bellator luck too. They brought the luck too, because god damn, that was just bad. How is your final decided by a nut shot, bro? I mean, come on. You know what's funny? Moldavsky was like, I don't believe this shit.
How do you break the rules of the commissions worldwide and score a fight that doesn't enter the third round? It didn't even get out of the first.
The judges have decided Romanov's moving on.
After a minute and 15 seconds of action.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I can imagine Don Davis is like, fuck, we need a winner. Actually, I take it back. Don didn't do shit. Don was confused. Like, oh shit, so what happens now? No, somebody else. Yeah, somebody with actual knowledge is probably like, oh fuck, we need a winner. Romanov, just tell them the judge said it's cool.
Kind of reminds me of how they pulled guys out of the playoffs a couple years ago when they were teammates. What was that? Nathan Schulte and another fighter. But when it comes to these tournament stuff, they're just going to try and make it as viewable as possible down the stretch. But hopefully Romanov can come back and fight Popov. That's a half interesting fight in the heavyweight title.
I mean, this is why you have alternates. You guys remember DC won the Strikeforce Grand Prix as an alternate. Came in, lifts fucking giant ass War Master up, boom, drops him on the ground on his head, and just whoops everyone's ass.
And boom, boom, knocks out Bigfoot Silva with a dirty combo in the clinch.
And fucking DC's like all of 5'10", dude. Yeah. How the hell? Anyway, but yeah. And that's why DC's one of the greatest to all do it or to ever do it. I don't give a fuck what y'all say.
That Gene, another alternate. That Gene this year.
That Gene and that Gene's in the finals. Now,
how disappointed would you be if Carl Williams is inserted here without having to fight at all leading up?
Oh, if Romanov can't fight?
Yeah.
That'll be a bummer. It's kind of lame.
It really would. And would you rather him put Moldavsky in, or would you rather him put Carl Williams in, who hasn't even competed?
If
Moldavsky at least earned his way to the semis, right?
If Romanov can't go, it needs to be. I think it needs to be Moldavsky. I wouldn't want Carl Williams to get a fucking shoe in, although that is his job, so I get it.
Yeah,
that's what he's in there for. But that was just an unfortunate fucking thing that happened. I mean, it wasn't on purpose; it was incidental, right? It wasn't. He was leaving, point taken away or anything. But yeah, I think Moldavsky should be the guy. But Romanov, come on, man, Romanov, you got to get in there, bro. All right, you lost one of your nuts. It's got to be worth it. You got to get your $500K out of that shit. God damn.
If you want money for an operation to get it back, you just got to win. But fight fans, that's all we got for you this week. The UFC is taking 2 weeks off until July 12th, where it'll be Taliesin Teixeira versus Derek Lewis. Next week, we will bring you any breaking news or fight announcements that come out over the course of the week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.